Yogic power. Mother has said that for some time her body went through a stage during which the various yogic poses, the asanas and mudras, manifested themselves naturally. They also often appeared when she was in seclusion, away from the sight of people. In this connection, Mother stated on one occasion, "Just as you have to keep a seed in darkness under a thin layer of earth exposed to light and air before it shoots forth and sprouts, so also behind the all usual external activities of a devotee, many subtle changes come quite unnoticed upon him through the influence of invisible powers." At times her hands, feet, and neck bent to such a strange twist that there seemed to be no possibility of their regaining their normal positions. On one occasion, Mother said, "Such a halo of light flashed from this body that all the space around it was illumined. That light gradually seemed to melt away, enveloping the universe." In that condition, she would cover up her whole body with an extra piece of cloth and for a long time retire to a solitary corner of the house, away from all people. During this period, her body emanated such a divine power that her glance struck people and they forgot all about themselves and were steeped in heavenly delight. And when touching her feet, some would even fall unconscious. The places on which she would lie or sit became intensely heated. At Dhaka, I have myself witnessed Mother in various yogic poses. At times her breath was either suspended altogether for a long time or became so feeble or fluctuating that we were afraid her life would be extinct through suffocation. One day, when I showed her illustrations of some yogic poses in a book, she pointed out certain defects in them regarding specific positions of the feet, thigh, head, and other parts of the body. Those people who have been fortunate enough to be near her for some time must have noticed how she would sit in a particular posture for several hours together without the slightest movement, or relapse into absolute silence in the midst of conversation. In this condition, her body became inert like a statue, her eyes unwinking and steady, directed to the remotest corner of the sky, and her appearance delightfully sweet and serene. In all these states, it was quite evident that her soul was steeped in supreme bliss, while her physical body was performing mechanically the daily round of duties of her social life. During these states of absorption in the divine, she felt neither hunger or thirst, nor extremes of heat and cold, unless special attention was drawn to them. Even after physical consciousness dawned on her, she took much time to regain her normal condition. We have also noticed on several occasions that if during those phases of self-absorption she was left to herself for some days continuously, she would often forget how to talk, walk, or laugh, or even to distinguish between different articles of food and drink. Many people desire to witness instances of her occult powers. To them, I would suggest that they should spend a few days near her and realize the wonderful spiritual influences that radiate from her at every moment, by which even the most barren hearts would blossom forth in a new lease of life. By her natural will to secure the welfare of the sentient beings, people are imperceptibly guided into the ways of her expansive spiritual life. One afternoon I went to Shahbag with Niranjan. Mother and Bolanath were seated. Some pictures had been drawn on the floor. Bolanath said, "Your mother has drawn these figures of the solar plexuses in the human body." On hearing this, she said, "While walking about at noon, I sat down here in a yogic posture when I observed some lotus-like vital centers from the highest center in the brain right down along the spinal cord to its lowest end, a few inches apart from each other. I saw clearly that from the lowest tip of the spinal cord upwards, there lay many finer and finer centers, of which only the 6 chief ones have been drawn here. I have not drawn them deliberately. My hand has automatically moved about on the floor, and these pictures are the result of those movements. You should note that through these vital areas of interlacing nerves function the inherited impulses, acquired dispositions, emotions, various urges, thought cycles, and notions of life and death, which find their way downwards from the highest brain center in response to the stimulation from all the sense organs. Streams of life and of the vital fluid swiftly or slowly move through the channels and guide the life processes and thought currents of man. Just as you find that earth, water, fire, air, and the space beyond the atmosphere interpenetrate one another, so also these 6 chief centers lie inside the body, apparently one above the other, but functioning in mutual interdependence as one vital chain. A little reflection will convince you that the play of life goes on in the upper centers of your body when your thoughts are pure and full of bliss. Just as you find that springs of water lying at the bottom of a well or a tank keep up a constant supply, or just as the sap of plant life lies underground, deep down about the roots, so at the lowest end of the spinal cord lies asleep the fountain of the giant vital forces derived ultimately from the sun, from where issue forth the streams of your life. When with great patience and sanctity you strive to purify your inner and outer vehicles, the resulting vibrations of your thoughts strike ever higher and higher centers, releasing their tension, freeing the pent-up life force at the lowest center to seek outlets upwards. Then all the lethargy, primal urges, and samskaras and vasanas of the devotee gradually fade away like mists before the sun's rays. Along with the unleashing of the block, our attachment to the objects of the senses begin to relax, and the inner life starts taking shape. When the upward drive of the life force reaches the vital center at the parting of the eyebrows, the inner stream of the vital fluid flows with ease and purity quite evenly all over the human system, with the result that the devotee comes to realize something of the nature of the ego, the world, and creation. If a man continues in this stage for long, all his prenatal inherited dispositions and urges gradually become weaker and weaker. His mind reaches ever higher and higher levels of contemplation, ever deeper centers of the life force. When the devotee reaches beyond the highest vital center, which is situated between the eyebrows, his mental powers merge in the supramental, and his ego dissolves in the Mahabhava, a state of deep love for the divine, and he finds his eternal refuge in Swarupa, the supreme reality of Atman, the true self. He then goes into Samadhi, a state of perpetual bliss. As the different vital centers begin to open up, different sounds are perceived inwardly, and the devotee comes to feel the sounds of conchas and bells and flutes, all merging in the cosmic rhythm of one great voice of infinite silence. At that stage, no thought or object of the outside world can distract his attention. As he advances, his being gets dissolved in the bottomless depth of that blissful music that pervades the whole universe, and he finds eternal repose. Two or 3 years after this statement of Mother, I showed her the pictures of 6 vital centers published in Justice Woodruff's book, Serpent Power. Mother did not even glance at them and said laughingly, Listen to what this body tells you. She then described each center, the nature of the lotuses, their color, and the number of petals with the corresponding yantras and mantras. I found that the pictures in the book accurately represented what Mother described. And she added, I have not read about these centers in any book, nor have I ever before heard anything about them from anyone. The description I gave is from my actual experience. On further inquiry, she added, the colors of those vital centers that you find in the pictures are but their external tinge. The same substance of which our brain is made also forms these plexuses or centers, but their shapes and structures and functions vary. Each one has its special characteristics and distinctive qualities, like the eye or the ear or the navel, even the lines on the palms of your hands. In them there is the ever-changing play of various colors and sounds and their symbols called mantras, all being the natural results of the movement of the life force and the flow of the vital fluid. During the earlier stages, when the various mantras issued from these lips, accompanied by transformations of the breath, at times questions like, what are these, flashed across my mind. The reply came from within, and the inner structure of all these solar plexuses or chakras became distinctly visible to me, like the pictures you have put before me. When a person regularly prays, performs pujas and yogic practices, meditates and reflects on the higher truths of existence with sufficient concentration and steadiness, the mind's substance gets purified and thoughts become refined and the centers unfold themselves. Otherwise, no human being can find an escape from the storm and stress of physical urges like lust, greed, and anger. One day, Mother went to Siddheshwari Ashram with all who were present. That place was then in a very neglected condition. An altar was there, about a cubit square and a cubit in height. Mother sat upon it. All the devotees sat around silently and absorbed in their own thoughts. Her body gradually shrank so much in size that everybody had the impression that only her sari was left on the altar, as nobody could see her. All were wondering what would happen next. Gradually there was a stir underneath the cloth. Very slowly and gently a body took shape, and she appeared, sitting straight up. For nearly half an hour she looked towards the sky with a steadfast gaze, and then said, for your life's work you have brought down this body. Just as a paper kite flies high up into the sky, relying on a fine thread, the yogi, relying upon his life breath and a slender thread of samskara, can float in the air. He can shrink his physical body into a speck of dust, or assume an enormous size, or can even vanish out of sight. We have heard that many people got initiation from Mother in the dream state, while others got flowers along with mantras, and have actually found those flowers when roused from sleep. But none of us had ever known Mother to directly initiate a devotee. We have also heard from many people that in their own homes, far away from Mother, they were startled to find Mother's figure actually present before their eyes for very brief periods. While I was at Dhaka, seriously ill with an attack of acute tuberculosis, Mother was in northwestern India. When she returned to Dhaka, she said to me, at midnight on two particular dates, this body entered your room by a particular door of your house and went out by another. Your condition in those 2 days was very critical. On referring to the account book where the daily expenses, including doctor's fees and medical charges, were entered, It was discovered that on those 2 days, doctors had actually been called at night. There were also cases when Mother passed by a group of men, but only 1 or 2 of them could see her. She says, "I am ever present with you all, but you have little yearning to see me. What can I do? Know it for certain, I have my eyes fixed on what you do or omit doing." On one occasion, Mother was to get into the train at Golando. The doorstep of the train was very high from the platform. There was rheumatic stiffness in her right arm then. When at her bidding, Gurupriya Devi caught hold of her left hand and pulled her up into the compartment, Mother's body appeared to be as light as a baby's. On some occasions, on the other hand, it was found to be extremely heavy. Mother tells us that whether moving about or resting, nothing produces any change in her. She is ever wide awake. Sometimes after rising from her bed, she says that she has seen certain incidences happening in a particular place. Subsequent inquiry confirms the truth of her statements. I used to see Mother by my side, either like a flash of lightning or like a shadowy, steady figure. Sometimes it took on a definite condensed form and moved about, making changes in my environment which lasted even after its disappearance.